this World Mental Health Day, we stand together as players, coaches, staff, and people to say that your mental health matters.
Let's go talk about it.
Jack, from your point of view as our performance coach, where do you see mental health contributing to that?
Well, I see it as before anyone does anything, if you're not mentally comfortable or ready to be an athlete, then there is no in the gym, there is no on the pitch, there is no in meetings. So that's always the first step, really, to a professional footballer, especially here at this club.
Yeah. And like, it's so interesting to see, you probably see it more so than I do, of if the girls are coming in tired or they've had a tough weekend or a tough couple of run of games, the implication on how they present when we see them around the building.
Oh yeah, like if we've came off winning at the weekend with like 4 or 5-0, then they all come in buzzing, even if they are tired, ready to go. But yet there is obviously the other times if there's a loss or they haven't played very well, they do come in a different way, and that's always the starting step before we see what we're going to do in the gym and or on the pitch, because obviously we look into the person before just training and things like that.
Yeah, big time. And I think you've alluded to it there, and I think it's huge, and I see it so great at this club and in this team that we do wholeheartedly consider the person as a whole and really appreciate and recognise the mental and psychological side of the game and the huge impact that it does have for the girls and also as staff as a whole, for us as well, because as staff you guys are still performing as well, not just the girls themselves.
Oh yeah, like it's important, I think, really important for the players to feel comfortable with us as staff, that they can speak to us about whatever we want, as well as being an athlete. And then, like you say, with the staff, that we feel comfortable with our areas. If we hear something or share something, then we know how to feed into each other comfortably.
Do you notice it, when we see those really good performances, the mentality of the girls, and I suppose from my point of view, seeing how happy they are, and when they are happy, noticing and recognising it's going to probably be a positive performance as a result?
Yeah, because I think even if you take it back to, say, like pre-season, if they're happy with what we're doing, they know it's difficult and some things like that, but then they see the outcome and how they feel now, and then leading now into the in-season, like you say, if they're going into the game and they do feel happy with their environment, with the people around them, with how they feel in my areas as well, in the gym or on the pitch, then yeah, that does make a big difference. And like we said before, like without that sort of understanding of the person, then I don't think you really get a big enough understanding as them as an athlete.
Totally. Like, you're so right, that trust is everything, that they can trust in us, they understand why we're making the decisions that we are, and that they have to do all those box-to-box runs and they see where it's going to go, and they trust the process, if you will. But also they trust that if they flag something, that they know they will get that support. And that it will be done consciously and quite deliberately to help them whatever way we can. And you alluded to it there, is that relationship between practitioner and also player. For me, especially in my role here, I think that is everything. That if you don't have that relationship, you really have very little. Comes back to your point of trust and fun. It all feeds in together. We know how they are normally. If they're presenting a little bit differently, we can jump into action straight away. We don't have to hopefully wait till a point where it's concerning. We can get ahead of it. We can be really proactive rather than always reactive.
Yeah, because I think, as we always say, in this industry, we see these people more often than our families sometimes. So, we get to really know them personally, and that's where that kind of understanding of the person, you do notice when something is off. I think that's what makes the club special, is that you do see that in the different players and how they approach things, or maybe something's happened in their personal lives. And yeah, like I said, we do see them a lot. So you have to understand that before you apply, what we're doing on the pitch and things like that.
Absolutely. And I think for me, it's so valuable when you might flag something or you notice something that might be so minute, but when it could be pieced to some information that I've got or someone else has got, we get a bigger picture of this person or potential concern or whatever the case may be, that we all have different pieces of that puzzle and just putting it together to support them to the best of our ability, really.
Yeah, for sure. Like that holistic approach, you know, even if it is, like you say, something someone considers so little, can be a big piece in a puzzle. And like you say, about being proactive instead of reactive, we could prevent something that could be bothering the player. Which with a simple solution, even like a normal conversation,
Totally.
which some people oversee, but that little conversation as a human instead of an athlete sometimes is all they need.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely spot on. It's the human first every single time. Like, they wear the badge, we wear the badge, but you can discard that and just connect as people, and that's the most important thing in all of this, really.
I suppose obviously people see just kind of the outside, the results, what we see on the pitch, but I suppose people don't really get to see the inside of how we all kind of interact and collaborate with each other to make these sort of decisions or to monitor what players are feeling or what's going on in their lives. So I don't know if you wanted to speak a bit more about yourself in that within the IDT.
Yeah, I think people have potentially a misconception that a sports psychologist or a psychologist within this environment and within this field probably sits on a chair and the player lies across the couch and tells them all their problems or whatever. It really doesn't look like that for me in my role. Like, I'll be out on the grass in the rain with the girls observing training, having conversations with players at the side of the pitch, or if they're getting a drink of water, getting insights and picking up and learning about them. Maybe a mistake is made and you notice their initial reaction. Are they tuned in? Are they focused throughout the whole thing? Does their focus dip? And picking up little things that are very much performance based in those environments and those fields, but recognizing the overall demeanor of these players as well. So when we walk in off the grass, those conversations as we go into lunch are so important. There are those brief contact interventions of, can we reframe how you're thinking in those really short, sharp moments that, as I said, the interventions don't necessarily or have to take an hour. It can be 30 seconds walking off the pitch. And that can be so valuable. And because we all have really good relationships with the players, they can be so minor because you already know what's going on or have a good idea what's going on and potentially recognise what they need in those moments. Or maybe they need a question posed to them to look at a situation differently. And I think a lot of my work probably mostly happens sitting at the table in the canteen over lunch or a coffee and just having informal conversations, because it is just sport. So there can be and should be a relaxed nature to it, although we acknowledge and appreciate the pressure and the challenge that is associated with it, but we can lighten that load and have fun with it as well. Because as well, if we're not laughing, we're crying, and I'd much prefer we were all laughing and have a joke with it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's those informal moments and those short, sharp moments with the girls that probably have the biggest impact and where most of my work actually happens. And sometimes the girls are even, you as my colleague mightn't even recognise I'm working really hard in those moments too. But they can be pivotal too.
Yeah, because I suppose sometimes, like with football, everything's so fast-paced 100% of the time, where sometimes, you know, not willingly, people kind of forget to see those little signs or something like that. So it's important that not everyone is also going at that pace where we can slow down. And then you might, for example, have picked up on someone's cues that they're showing that maybe some of us haven't seen in that moment. You know, everything's fast-paced, one thing to the other, gym to pitch to recovery to whatever, always something going on. So yeah, I do think that that's kind of the importance of when we talk about that IDT approach with yourself and the rest of the staff.
Totally. Like being able to pick up when they're walking between the gym and the canteen of really quick second of what's going on for you there. Oh, there's nothing, that's fine, off you go about your day. Or if there does need to be a formal intervention or more serious intervention, if you will, it can be picked up in a way that feels natural and comfortable for them as well, that it doesn't have to be daunting either, because these conversations shouldn't feel daunting, but sometimes they can be because of the world and society we live in, and every day we're trying to break down that barrier and that stigma, but we do our best every day working as a group, as an IDT, to support these players to the best of our ability, really.